Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. How are you all this evening? Alright, so I hope you're not tired of this theme that I'm talking about, which is this incredibly off-the-wall, new age sounding thing called the Ascension to 5D. I would not have imagined myself talking about this new age weird stuff just a year ago or less. And what we are talking about is something that, as I said, I personally would not have even indulged in. Because I am all about what I can physically experience. I don't care about anything I can't physically experience. And I also am not interested in anything that distracts me or is used as an escape from my actual physical conscious experience. And I have stayed away from all of this stuff. To me, a year ago, the 5D, shifting to 5D, the ascension to 5D was in the same category as, people channeling everything that they come across, people who, use the word super empath in every other sentence, just your typical new age nonsense of people trying to escape their feelings. My experience of them is that they are basically, very serious, untreated codependents that desperately need to go see a therapist and work on their mommy and their daddy issues and learn how to love themselves and stop worrying about what other people think and, get rid of all of those resentments about how everybody's doing it to them. And that, to me, is what the whole 5D ascension sounded like to me. And that's why I stayed away from it. That doesn't mean, if I go do any research on it, the vast majority of it is people trying to cash in on it on YouTube because it's a popular search term, and a bunch of people who I think probably need to, work on having all of their feelings and working through their repressed mommy and daddy stuff. And so I understand that I must sound like I'm really out there, like I'm a real serious nutcase that's lost it. I mean, that I'm to come onto my channel and have and listen to me talk about how I have been summoning interdimensional, transdimensional beings into my house in order to fill me with electric blue energy through my system and all of that. It's just amazing that I am talking about it. And it would be understandable if you thought that I'd either sold out or I'd completely lost my mind. But I'm here to tell you that this is absolutely my experience. I have physically experienced it. And the best part of all of it, which is also very new agey, the best part of all of it is that what is coming, what is actually here, is everything I've secretly fantasized about. And I think so have you. A world where the law that governs everybody's interactions and behavior is the law of love, where where it is understood that in order to function successfully, the basic energetic rules, I mean this literally, the basic energetic rules in order to simply exist in this new world is that you must come from a place of non-judgment, of unconditional love, unconditional self-love, unconditional self-awareness, and unconditional love and acceptance of all other people. You must also master the ability to be consciously aware of all of your feelings, positive and negative, on the most vulnerable level. And simultaneously, in order to simply exist in that realm, you must also accept everybody else with all of their feelings, both positive and negative. By the way, I don't know if you've experienced what it's like to be in the presence of somebody who loves you deeply and totally unconditionally. It's a very rare thing. It almost never happens in 3D. But it's very frightening, and it's very uncomfortable. So that's part of it. You must learn to be seen and loved completely for who you are. And simultaneously, you must have some ability to see and love yourself completely and totally, with all of your most vulnerable thoughts and feelings. Because unfortunately, one of the scientific facts about 5D is that you will not be able to hide. Everybody will see everything in you, whether you like it or not. The truth is that that's true here in 3D as well. You really can't hide anything from anybody. Everybody pretty much knows what you're walking around with, what you're feeling. If you don't love yourself, people pick up on that. If you're judgmental, people pick up on that. And no matter how hard you try and hide it with passive aggressiveness or with virtue signaling, people can still feel what's really going on underneath the surface. Unless they are distracted with trying to hide from themselves. So we're entering into what did I call it? Entering into the age of the spirit versus the age of narcissism. So we have been in the age of narcissism for thousands of years. The age of narcissism. All right, let's see here. I need to get rid of, I'll give this person one chance. I don't know what's happening here. Actually, you know what? Here's something else that will not fly. One thing that will not fly in the 5D is devaluing other people. So anytime that you devalue somebody else for whatever reason, that in and of itself is not something that's going to fly. So somebody just devalued me here as I look at it. So we're just going to take away this person's ability to survive in my 5D. So, by the way, I recommend that you do that. Anybody who comes into your reality, into your world, into your life, anybody who devalues you, get rid of them. You don't need to get the approval of anything or anybody. Especially, the only people that we seek to get approval from are the people who never give it to us. And so if anybody devalues you, if anybody judges you, if anybody makes you feel shameful or guilty or bad or wrong, or if people try to humiliate you, if they compare themselves to you, if they call you names, get rid of them. So I'm going to get rid of one person who did that, so they can't, they'll have to make up another fake profile if they want to come back here and do that. I haven't decided about this person yet. We'll give them some time. All right. So we got rid of that person. So the reason I've been thinking about this is, I'm at the beginning of this process, like most of you. One of the things that I have been really thinking about is the level, the vibrational energy that has been introduced into my energy system in my body. And I'm trying to place if I've ever felt this vibration before. And specifically what I'm talking about, when I've done the CE5 work, you can look it up, CE5. When I've done the CE5 work, and those beings have done energy work on me, the resulting vibration within me, I can't place. I'm not yet prepared to say I've never felt it before, or that it isn't something that can't be achieved through other practices. It very well might be. I haven't experienced it at that level yet. And that's part of the reason that it's frightening, because it's not something that I'm aware of. It very well may not be of human origin. That's another possibility. But I'm open to learning about that. But the one thing about all of that is that to interact with that energy, the only way, it's literally impossible to interact with that energy if you have any of these things associated with the age of narcissism. And let me just be clear what I mean by narcissism. I don't mean the evil genius. Whenever people throw around the word narcissism and narcissist, and they really just use it when they're trying to talk about anybody who they believe to be selfish. And that usually falls under the category of somebody that's not doing what they want. So lots of times, people call other people narcissists simply because that person isn't doing what they want. They got their feelings hurt, they're not getting what they want, and so they project onto them and call them a narcissist. But narcissism is a whole different vibe. Narcissism starts from the experience of not having any self, not having any identity. And if you don't have an identity, then it's impossible to interact with somebody else. The only thing that a narcissistic person can do is project. So that's all they can do, is project on people. By the way, the person who I just booted off the channel was projecting onto me. The name that they were calling me, they were projecting that onto me. That means I know that that's how that person feels about themselves. The judgment that they live with is the one that they dumped on me. And so when you don't have a self, you don't have a floor. So think of it this way, like when you're in a pool filled with water and you want to go to the top, you have to push off the bottom of the pool. And you push off the bottom of the pool and you swim to the top, and then you get some air and you can breathe. Imagine if you're in a pool that has no bottom. It's a bottomless pool and you're 20 feet down. You can't push off of anything. And so you drown. This is what it's like. This is what narcissism is. There's no self. There's no identity. And since there's no identity, they cannot interact with anybody else's self. So the interesting thing about what a narcissist does is that a narcissist This is if you can grasp this, you'll understand all kinds of abuse. You'll understand what abuse is and why people abuse others. It's not because what you've been told. What you've been told is that abusive people, like on movies, when you watch Silence of the Lambs and you see, Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter is not a real narcissist. That is somebody's concoction, which actually makes us feel better because we think he has no emotions. And because he has no emotions, he has this genius-like ability to know exactly what everybody's thinking and doing. And therefore, he can be 700 moves ahead of you because he's not hampered by his human compassion. And therefore, he's a diabolical genius. And the truth is that people love watching Silence of the Lambs because they secretly wish they were Hannibal Lecter. They secretly wish they could not be hurt by other people, that they could get whatever they wanted and do whatever they wanted without ever feeling pain or being hurt or worry about being rejected. That's really why people watch these movies. But that is not a real narcissist. Narcissists aren't like that. The narcissist, what they do is they actually are incredibly focused on you, which is why they're so appealing. People, why do I always attract these narcissistic men? Because they focus on you and they make you feel like you're God. Again, this is their projection. They want to feel that way. So when they think they have feelings for you, they project onto you that you are some godlike creature that they're in love with. They make you feel like you are the only being that exists. And they pour love and adoration and focus on you. And they study everything about you so that they can meet every single one of your needs, so that you will become seduced by this feeling of thinking you're being loved, totally, completely loved and seen. And then what ends up happening is that your narcissism is triggered. And the goal of the narcissist is to make themselves indispensable to your narcissism. So first they have to awaken it. They awaken it by flattery, by gifts, by, you know the drill. And it only works when you go, oh my God, this feels so amazing. To be seen and to be loved like this I've never had this before. Finally, somebody loves me. This is true love. Oh my God, we're connecting on the deepest possible level. And then once you're in that stage, once they've turned you into a narcissist, or they've stimulated the narcissism within you, which is the desire to be the most important thing in the room, the desire to be the most, to be totally loved and seen in that way, that's your narcissism. When that's been stimulated and you become dependent on that kind of intense seeming love, that's when they turn on you. Then, once they have you, they begin to devalue you. They abuse you. They cheat on you. They start to they start to project on you. They start to harass you. Whatever it is, their form of abuse is. And it is something that if they had walked in the room and started doing to you, you would say, man, I don't want anything to do with that person. So we live in a society that is narcissistic. It is designed to create your narcissism. Perfect example again. I am talking to you over the airwaves on the internet. And you just saw at least one person. I don't know, maybe we've got another one on here too. At least one person that came on here and decided that their task for the evening was going to be to devalue me, to make me feel bad. I mean, let's face it. I mean, somebody starts calling out somebody else names. The only point of doing that is to try and hurt me and make me feel bad. So they're going to gain something by hopefully addressing my narcissism and hurting me. And if they can hurt me, somehow they're going to get some narcissistic pleasure out of that. They're going to find some value within themselves. They're going to be able to say, see, I'm better than Mahadeva. I just, said this to him and look at how he's reacting to that. I'm better than he is. And before they get me to react, their feeling is they feel less than me. They feel like they don't have an identity. So they're stealing my identity briefly. It only lasts for whatever the brief moment they have while they're, trying to abuse me, trying to cause me harm, trying to cause me pain. What's happening on an unconscious level is they're looking to actually share their pain with somebody else. When they can see their pain in somebody else, when they've inflicted in somebody else the pain that they have, for a brief moment they feel alive. They feel seen. They've transferred it over to me. And in that moment, if I respond the way that they want, they will feel alive. Sound pretty horrible? This is the age that we have been living in. We live in an age where what happens? You have to go work for somebody else. You have to go work for somebody else. And what do? They give you money. And you're only there for the money. You go there because if you don't have money, which doesn't exist, if you don't have these pieces of paper, actually nowadays, if you don't have these ones and zeros in this thing called your bank account, which, please try and find the drawer that has your name on it. Walk into your bank and ask them, can you show me where my drawer of all of my cash is? There won't be one. There isn't a place where your money is stored. It doesn't exist. It's just some ones and zeros floating around. And so you go to work for somebody else, and what is it that you do? You do the thing that they need done. And if you do the thing that they need done, which will make them money, they will give you a pittance so that you won't die. And that's basically what a job is. It's a place you go that you spend all of your time doing stuff for other people so that they can give you just enough ones and zeros so that you won't starve and freeze to death. And that's the basic system. It's very narcissistic. It's very devaluing. I've never responded well. As time goes on, less and less people ask me this question, which I think is actually pretty cool. But, back 20, 30 years ago, one of the first questions that somebody would ask you when they met you is, so what do you do for a living? In other words, your worth. How is it that you make this money? Oh, you don't have any money? Oh, you don't have any worth. You don't have any value in and of yourself. Oh, you work for that company. Oh, they're a rich company. Oh, you have some value. Now I see your value. You're a slave. You're literally giving up your life in exchange for just enough money to survive. That's why there's this thing called minimum wage. Because there are people out there, the majority of the tasks that need to get done, working behind a counter somewhere, giving people the basic stuff that they need. That's the job that pays minimum wage, which, is supposed to be the minimum amount of money a person needs to make in order not to die. This is a narcissistic way of functioning. In this world, you gain status or worth, which again is in place of having an identity. In place of having an identity, a self-contained idea of self, in place of that, you have to go make your worth in society. And so we have been programmed since who knows how many, thousands of years, that this is how human beings, this is your life. And if you want to succeed in a narcissistic society, the way you do that is by devaluing others. And we reward people for devaluing others. How do you become heavyweight boxing champion of the world? You knock somebody else out. You do everything you can possibly do to perhaps put him in the hospital or kill him. Well, we won't let that happen, so we'll put some padding on the gloves and we'll have some rules. But you can, if you follow the rules and hit him with a padded glove and you knock him out and kill him, well, then, that's okay. It's not your fault. It's a sport. The way to get that is to knock the hell out of somebody. The way to make it in business is to out-compete all of your competition, which is what's going on with corporations. There's no more mom and pop. There's no more small business. Nothing is, locally done. It's all sourced out of these giant corporations, which end up out-competing and getting rid of everybody. The more money you have, the more power you have over other people, the more you can get people to kiss your ass simply because of how much fame and money you have. And the moment that you lose that, talk to Amber Heard, I could name off a bunch of, famous actors. Talk to Will Smith. He can't get a cup of coffee because he made one mistake in front and everybody saw it. His value didn't come from who he was. His value came from his perceived ability to be superior to others, have more fame, have more talent, have more whatever. This is a narcissistic universe. And so you wonder why you feel like you live on a prison planet. Because how do people act in prison? The way people act in prison is, the person on top is the one who can devalue people the most through violence, intimidation, power plays, money, whatever it is. And yet this is not who you are. Deep inside this is not who you are. And I'm thinking about my life and I'm going back 30 years. And I'm thinking about when I was working my tail off to make it in the acting business. I was in Hollywood. I had co-founded a theater company, writing and directing plays and teaching acting. And I was auditioning for TV and film, doing tiny bit parts here and there. I kept on seeing people who were not very talented make it, or at least, doing better than me. And what I kept on hearing from everybody was, you got to learn how to play the game. And I'm like, what does that mean? Bottom line is, you got to learn how to devalue yourself in whatever way necessary in order to who knows what. The other thing I learned about that particular industry is that the people who were successful were the people who were mediocre. They were attractive, but they weren't too attractive. They were likable, but not too likable. They had just enough, glitz to have the light, glint off of the teeth here and the corner of the eye there. But in terms of actually having any real depth to them, that wasn't something that was rewarded. What was rewarded was what looked good on a commercial, which was what sells a product. And what sells a product is that thing that just catches enough of your attention and puts you in kind of a trance so you feel kind of good. But you're not provoked to have any real feeling or experience on any level. Again, you're appealing to people's narcissism. Because a narcissist does not have awareness of themselves or their feelings. And this new place that we're going, the physical laws of existing in what we're calling 5D means that you will need to be aware of all of your feelings without any judgment, without any shame, without having to react either by hiding them or acting aggressively because of them, which is what a lot of people do. So I don't know that I'm really saying what I want to say today. What I really wanted to get at was I wanted to get to the feeling that I've been having over these past few weeks about the quality of the energy that I've been experiencing. And the quality of the energy is, I got to be honest, it feels out of my reach. If I try to understand it, if I try to figure it out, I can't grasp it. It's out of my reach. But the one thing that I know is that there's no ego involved. From the beings that I've interacted with, they have not presented any ego whatsoever. And it's been very interesting to watch me project onto them. Going from one extreme to another. I will project onto them that I'm the most special person in the world and they've chosen me, which of course is ridiculous. And then the other spectrum of what are they trying to do? They're deceiving me. They're trying to. And these are both just the flip side of my ego, my narcissism. And it's because they're not presenting any narcissistic ego for me to bounce off of, interact with, grab a hold of, push, pull with. None of that's happening. They have the most powerful, the most healthy boundaries I've ever experienced. And at the same time, the level of intensity of emotions I've never experienced. I've never experienced that level of intensity of emotions before. And so this combination of having very intense emotions, and by emotions I mean, the positive ones. Love, bliss, all the stuff associated with enlightenment, spirituality, all the good stuff. The intensity of those emotions have been beyond, I've literally been expanding me in all kinds of ways. And at the same time, zero ego attached to any of it. And it's very unusual and interesting and mysterious. But it's incredibly blissful. Never experienced anything like it to that degree. So where we're going to go, we are going to be fully empowered within ourselves. Fully aware of ourselves. And if we haven't achieved it, we will be in a supercharged process of releasing our self-directed negativity. Go back to the beginning of this live stream where the first thing somebody did was come on and start attacking me, trying to devalue me. And that is their projection of themselves. The self-directed negativity. The way they offset that is by literally trying, it's like you have a disease and you think by breathing on somebody else, you'll give it to them and you won't have it anymore. Of course, it doesn't work like that. But imagine if there was a disease that all you had to do was just cough on somebody else and then you'd be free of the disease and they'd be sick and die. That's what's happening whenever somebody attacks you. Whenever you attack somebody else. What you think you're doing is you think you're getting rid of your self-directed hatred, your self-directed shame. And let's talk about shame. The latest understanding from the psychological perspective is that basically all mental illness is just shame. And shame is nothing more than not feeling worthy of existing. And what is the definition of codependence? Maybe you've heard me say it before. By the way, narcissism is a form of codependence. So get rid of the idea in your head that there are codependent victims and there are narcissistic abusers. Whether you're a victim or the abuser, you are all codependent. It's the same thing. Because both the victim and the abuser suffers from the same fundamental illness, which is the feeling that they don't have any worth within themselves. That their value comes not from who they are, but from what they do. And in this new world that is descending on us, the only way that you will ever be able to experience your worth is by who you are, not by what you do. And who you are is a conscious being. You have conscious awareness. You experience consciously. You experience your existence and the existence of the rest of the universe around you in whatever way that is. And that experience is the first and the last thing that gives you your worth. There is nothing you can do beyond existing that will make you any more valuable than you already are. And shame is the feeling that you don't have any value in and of yourself. And so you try to do something to gain that value. You get rich, you get powerful, you get strong, you kiss people's ass, you abuse people, you steal from people, you become the do-gooder and you save everybody. You become the super empath. Super empaths are narcissists. Those of you listening to me and you identify as a super empath, you have just admitted to your narcissism because you believe your worth is based on what you do for others. You save them. You make them feel better. I was just flipping through, trying to get inspiration on what to talk about, and I flipped through a couple of super empath channels and listened to this guy talk about how there's some words I never heard of, some phrases. And it's the super blue flame empath, whatever the hell that is. I don't know, something like that. And he says, those people are star seeds and we are here to save the human race from, and so it's codependence. Your value as a super empath is that you've come here to save the world from X, Y, and Z. So if you don't do that, it means you have no value. You have no worth. So what does that do for a narcissistic society? If you are, first off, you're recognized, which is not something that happens here in 3D. You are, unless you're an infant, with loving parents. If you are an infant and you have loving parents, they recognize you simply because you exist. And they love you unconditionally simply because you exist. Many of you, like me, were born in families where that didn't happen. But that's the only place in 3D where you achieve that. You achieve being loved simply because you exist only when you're an infant. But the rest of the time you have to do something to earn your keep. And this is just a normal thing in life. If you want to function in society, you have to give to society in order to, you have to be a functioning member of society. You have to have something to offer. But what about living in a world where the only thing that matters is that you exist and that you're aware of your existence? And then you are seen and valued for that and for that alone. This creates a freedom because now you don't have to do anything to achieve your acceptance. You don't have to do anything to achieve your ones and zeros, which allow you to, not starve to death and freeze to death. It allows you to not have to go and prove to the world your worth because you have this job or that job or whatever. Again, I'm going to use Will Smith as an example, and this is something he publicly said. But it said everything. When he was devalued by his wife, publicly devalued by her. What I found out is that as a kid, when he was 15 years old, he fell in love with, at least this is the story I heard. Maybe it's not true, I don't know. But if assuming it's not true about him, my apologies to Will Smith. But if this story is very true about a lot of people in terms of what they focus their life on, and according to this story, when he was 15, he fell in love with a girl who cheated on him, broke his heart. And he came back home and he told his mom, he said, "I'm going to be the most popular actor in the world, and then nobody will cheat on me." And then look what happens. He's notorious for being publicly devalued by his wife, cheated on by his wife. So he ended up creating the very thing that he was trying to avoid. And all because he didn't have enough worth in and of himself, at least in that moment, to be loved simply because he existed. Now, again, my apologies if I'm wrong. If none of that is true about Will Smith, my apologies. But I can certainly relate to that. I'm imagining you can relate to it also. And so in that society, the freedom that is given to us simply by being loved for the fact that we exist and that our value is in the energy of our existence. This is the other thing I'm coming to realize, is that this next reality is going to be a reality completely about energy. So this idea of thought is going to go away. Bear in mind there's a difference between thought and mind. Mind is associated with emotions. Thought is divorced from emotions most of the time. So we're not going to live in a place of intellect. We're going to live in a place of energy. And energy, you can't experience energy unless you're 100% in the moment. And you can't be 100% in the moment if you're not consumed with the experience of your essence, your worth of existence simply because you exist. You cannot have empathy for anything else if you aren't 100% current with yourself and the fact that you exist. In fact, this is the bliss of meditation. When you do the energy work here at thethunderwizard.com, or if you've done any meditation and you've had an experience of bliss, that bliss is nothing more than the bliss of experiencing your own existence in that present moment. That's what meditation is. Be in the moment. Whatever style it is. It always comes down to that same thing of being in the moment. And for those of you who are doing CE5, there's only one requirement, which is the most beautiful thing about connecting with these beings of light who are now making themselves known to the human race. The only requirement is your ability, even if it's a tiny 1% ability, your ability to tap into your essence of existence. When you do that, you tap into everything. For every single nanosecond that you are experiencing your own value and your own worth in your own existence, you are connecting to every other conscious being in the universe. And what we're finding out is that there are conscious beings in the universe who are actively seeking with their own technology. They have technology that actually accomplishes this. They have technology that they use seeking out beings who are just waking up to their conscious, to their awareness of their consciousness, to the awareness of their inherent value of existence. And when you're in that, you love yourself and you love everything else around you. Now, obviously, those that are, quote, more enlightened than others are going to have a deeper experience of that. But all you need is just a grasp of it. Just to grasp it for 1 second. And if you do that with a desire to connect with others, there are extremely conscious beings out there who will be attracted to you, magnetically attracted to you, and they will want to increase what you have shown. So imagine that for a second, that there are extremely conscious beings out there whose only agenda is to connect with you when you experience your essence. When you experience your essence and you say, I want to share my essence with another consciousness, they come rushing to you to help you expand that experience within yourself. There has never been a time in human history where human beings have been rewarded on the most immense scale for simply wanting to experience their own existence. There's never been a time when that's ever happened, ever. What has happened in times past, even up until just recently, and you see this in Vedic astrology. I'm a Vedic astrologer, and if you go by the old Vedic astrology rules, which are a couple thousand years old, well, the only way that you can get the attention of a deity is if you chant this mantra and you face this direction and you do this certain thing and you light this incense and at this time of day, and if you do all of these things correctly and you chant the mantra 250,000 times, then and only then will the deity take notice of you and come down. And that's done with. That's over with. There has never been a time in the history of human beings where all you have to do is simply tap into your spiritual essence in meditation, and then simply throw out the intention of, I would like to share my essence with another conscious being. And then a conscious being who, from your perspective, has 10,000 times the amount of consciousness you do, comes rushing to you to jolt you full of their awareness so that you can have an even greater experience of yourself. It's never ever happened. This is 5D. And 5D will be a place of unbelievable energy. It'll be, a spiritual energy of a vibration that'll be very high. I mean, it will be flowing through you. You will be feeling it. I mean, what's happening to me now, I haven't even been trying lately. A couple nights ago, they showed up. I said, let's meditate. And I meditated, and they filled me full of all kinds of energy. But every time I lie down, if I just lie down and close my eyes, if I put just the slightest bit of attention towards any one of my chakras, the energy starts to build, and just I go into, when I wake up, I have to kind of, if I take a nap, I have to where am I? Who am I? What is my name? Where have I just been? Feels like I've been gone for 100,000 years. And that's where we're going. We're going to be in a place where we're going to be vibrating at that level. And vibrating at that level means having a level of bliss, of self-awareness, never before experienced by us. So, anyway, I don't know if I said anything close to what I wanted to say, but I thought I would come on and just start babbling and see what happens. So, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer your questions. How many people do we have on here today? Did I scare you guys off with all the talk about narcissism? Basically, the bottom line is narcissists are people who don't have any self-awareness and self-love. It's just that simple. And some narcissists react by seeking the approval of others. They become ass kissers. They're codependent. They be people pleasers. They seek to please other people and get other people's approval. The other flip side of that same reaction is to devalue people in order to get, narcissistic pleasure from their pain and their misery, which then gives them this really weird sort of release of their own pain. And it's coming from the same place of not having any value. When they see in you that you feel you don't have any value, then they feel like, I'm not alone. It's basically that. I'm not alone in the universe because now I've made you feel the same way I do. Ha 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 ha. They can't help themselves. Or they are the victims. They're the super empaths who go out and have to please everybody. They have to fix everybody. And their value is in what they do for others. And both of them, whether they're the super empath or whether they are the evil narcissist, if you leave them by themselves, they will be miserable. The self-empowered person, the person of awareness, the person of 5D vibration, will be in bliss by themselves or with others. It won't matter to them. They might prefer the company of others, but when left to themselves, they can go deep into meditation and have right now what's happening to me. I get bored. I'll go lie down and close my eyes, and I go into this amazing blissful experience. Just experiencing my own energy. I look forward to when I start doing a group, when I'm totally over my transformation, which I'm getting very close to, by the way. Every single day, everything's getting better. My strength is coming back. And And I'm here, while I'm babbling, I'll babble about this. I've been hearing this for a while among the 5D people, which I poo-pooed because, as you know, I know like one fraction of 1% of TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, Taoist medicine, which is ringing in the ears is a result of, as I understand it, some kind of imbalance in the kidneys. And that usually happens when somebody doesn't feel supported by the universe, doesn't feel loved, etc., etc. But I had this weird thing happen to me when I had my first major CE5 experience where I don't know what it was, the person was touching my crown chakra, obviously did something, because from that day on, my right ear was ringing and started to, it closed shut. It swole itself shut. And I thought that I had swimmer's ear, but I don't. And they're saying this, the thing that I experienced, I'm hearing them say that what happens when you're ascending to 5D, sometimes you'll get ringing, and if you get ringing in the right ear, it means that your left brain and you're getting information from higher sources outside of you. And I thought that's exactly what it feels like. And one of the ways I've been gauging my recovery is by how much my ear has opened up and gone back to normal. And as that's happening, I'm gaining more strength in my right arm, which tells me that this really is about some kind of energetic restructuring of my brain. And I got jolted with some kind of energy that went in and started reconfiguring my brain. So maybe the 5D New Age people have been right this whole time about ringing in the ears. I still think a lot of people use that as an excuse to talk about their own, codependent dysfunction. Anyway, all right. So I babbled on and on because I wanted to see if any questions will come up. So let's see if we have any questions now. All right. I don't see a question here. Agent of the universe, honest feeling. I feel frustrated with my progress and I waver between pushing through and just giving up. What is your advice on? Okay, so that's not just an honest feeling, it's a question. So agent of the universe, if you were to take a look at your comments from one day to the next, what do you think you would see? You would see yourself going from, I had this super cool experience, to, oh my God, nothing's ever working to me, to, oh my God, I had this happen, nothing, blah, blah. So this is part of, how you've learned to function, is that you bounce back and forth between extremes. And as I keep saying, my advice is just to have your feelings and to take conscious action. That's all life is. That's all it is. Having awareness of all of your feelings, both positive and negative, and taking conscious action. That's it. There's nothing else to accomplish in terms of your external life. You first have to know what your soul wants, which, again, when we get to 5D, that's going to be a lot easier. People will be so connected to their soul. They're going to, their whole life will be about experiencing their soul. So it's not going to be, it's not going to be a big issue. But once you know what it is that you want, you go and do it. You just go after it. You go and do it. And you take action when you feel motivated and when you don't feel motivated. When you feel inspired and you feel uninspired. When you're frustrated and when you're happy. No matter what your feelings are, you first and foremost acknowledge your feelings like you just did, and then you take positive action towards what you want. And one day you're going to feel really great, and then the next day you're going to feel not so great. And it's not about, in terms of the actions, it's not about how you feel, it's about the actions that you're taking. So, My advice is the same as it's always been. Yeah. And you're focusing on your heart instead of your head, and a lot of painful emotions are coming up. Great. Join the club. I've been having the same experience. Ectixum question. Is the planet in 5D now? So you've got multiple questions there. Let me take them one at a time. Is the planet in 5D now? I'm going to say yes and no. So there's a reason why I put this picture up. Because there are two timelines that are competing for each other right now. So if you ask, is the planet in 5D now? The real question should be, are you in 5D? It's okay if you don't feel like you are, by the way. But, you know, there are things that you can do. I think that the priority of everybody's life from right now, if I could speak to every single human on the planet, and if I had the magical power to have them, you know, really hear what I have to say, I would say everybody needs to be doing one thing. And that is meditating or learning how to meditate. Meditation and energy work, not just meditation, but energy work. That you should be doing meditation and energy work, that this should be the focus of your life. The focus of your day should be around your meditation and energy work. And so, is the planet in 5D now? You can put yourself there by doing that. Make that the priority. Whether you have a job or not or whatever, make sure that your day is structured around your meditation. Your job is something you do when you're not meditating. Okay? So if you do that, that will put you in a, and you have to do it regularly, by the way. You have to do it consistently. Every day you have to be doing it. Because what will happen is, if you are in a meditative state, you will be forced to feel all of your feelings. And in order to stay in a meditative state, you will have to work through all of your narcissism. And that's really all that's happening with meditation, is that you're experiencing and releasing your narcissism. You're rewiring yourself to operate from self-valued energy instead of seeking to please other people. There's only really two energies. People say love and fear. Well, to me, the more simple is, you're either trying to please other people or you're trying to empower your spirit. Those are the only two things that you can be doing at any given moment. So throughout the day, if you want to stop and say, in this moment, am I empowering my spirit, or am I trying to please other people? By the way, did you know that pleasing other people is a form of violence? Long pause. Trying to please other people is a form of violence. You're trying to control them. You're trying to manipulate them so that they will like you, because your value in that moment is perceived to be based on whether or not they love and accept you or like you or approve of you. And so if you are a people pleaser, it means that you already dislike yourself, and so you're going to proactively seek out people that you can impress, or that you can fix, or that you can love, because you already don't feel loved. And it is controlling. I've never felt more controlled than when I'm around somebody who's a people pleaser. And I can smell them. I can smell them from 10 miles away. And I dislike that feeling the most. Because I feel like they're trying to they're trying to take my energy away. Trying to steal my approval. And I would much rather just see them be themselves and enjoy themselves, and enjoy the bliss of their own existence, then I will appreciate them far more. I'll want to give to them, be with them, hang out with them. So, is the planet in 5D now? The real question is, what are you doing to get into 5D? Second, when will the majority of mankind realize 5D? First off, where did you get the idea that I knew the answer to that question? I'm not a prophet. I'm not going to tell you, I can't tell you what's going to happen on what date at what time. If I ever say that on a title, it's a clickbait title because I want to get people's attention so they'll come and hear the message that I try and give, which is what I'm talking to you about now. But I don't know when, and I don't know that it matters. Again, the question is, why are you so worried about other people? What is it you think is going to happen when other people realize 5D? So this makes me want to talk about Huna again. You guys have heard me share this story how many times? I'm going to share it again. This is the story as I remember it of Haleakala Hugh Lin. If you want to hear about somebody who's living 5D, it's that guy. Haleakala Hugh Lin is a Hawaiian shaman, and their form of shamanism is called Huna. And he is, I believe he's a psychologist. And a mental institution in Hawaii came to him and said, will you come and help us? We have some really hard case patients that are incredibly violent and destructive, and we've tried everything, and we've heard all kinds of amazing things about you. Will you come and work with these patients? And he went and he listened deep within, and he heard his spirit tell him that he had a destiny with those patients, so he said yes. And they said, great, what do you need from us? And he says, just give me an office. So great, they set him up with an office, and then they said, okay, so when can you meet with these patients? And these patients were people they had, as I understand the story, they had to chain them to the wall, because if you got close enough, they'd bite your ear off, or they'd throw feces at you, or something really horrible and violent like that, and they were having to treat them like animals, and they felt really horrible about it. So they said, when are you going to meet with the patients? And he says, oh, I'm not going to meet with them. They said, well, how are you going to heal them? And he says, just let me worry about that. Give me an office and give me their files. And he said, that's the only way I'm going to do this. Take it or leave it. And they said, okay. You know, he's had brilliant success. So they gave him an office and they gave him a pile of files of the patients. And he sat there. And he'd pick up the file and he'd open it up to John Smith. John Smith is chained to the wall because he bit off the ear of an attendant. And so Haleakala Hugh Lin reads this and he goes, oh my God, that's so horrible. And then he immediately goes into the Huna prayer. And he says, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And he goes through this process where he acknowledges that he sees this person as being disgusting, violent, evil, mentally ill, and he then apologizes to that image of that person in himself. Because he says everything is inside of me. Nothing's outside of me. Everything's inside of me. He goes inside of himself to that vision of that person within himself that is imperfect. And he does this work to make that person a perfect being of light, because that's what all people are. It's an illusion that somebody is a mentally ill, destructive. It's your illusion of the world. And so he says, when I can fix the bad data within myself, in other words, the projection I have, the judgment I have on somebody else, when I can fix that within me and I can see them as being perfect, they will be cured. And lo and behold, John Smith slowly and surely starts getting better. And then next thing you know, they send him home because he's not messed up and violent anymore. And this is what you're missing in these questions. When will the majority of mankind realize 5D? When will you see mankind perfect and living in 5D? When will you see that within yourself? That's 5D. 5D is not about other people, it's about you. And if you see other people as being evil, destructive, that means you see yourself that way. And that means you are projecting it into your reality. The incident that threw me into my most recent transformation crisis, because that's where I've been for the past, it's been 3 weeks now. I've been in a transformation crisis where the first 10 days I wasn't capable of functioning. I was in so much physical, emotional, psychological pain, cognitive dissonance, fear. What triggered that was, the main thing that triggered that was that I did the live stream. If you guys go back and watch the CE5 live stream, in that meditation, what I did was I imagined channeling the entire power of the earth and the entire power of every single conscious being in the universe over the earth's surface for the specific purpose of doing exactly what you said, changing the reality of other people so that they would, whatever. And I woke up the next day and my neck was completely, my ear was swollen shut and ringing, and I was in tremendous pain. And then the same time, I heard somebody give me some news about some shifts that had happened politically that were literally impossible the day before. And I found, and I went, holy crap, I did that. I wasn't ready for it. I personally was not ready for the level of shift that I brought into my reality, which is me. I broke myself. So when you're asking me, when will the majority of mankind realize 5D? The real question is, when will you realize that they're in 5D? When will you see it and believe it? When will you see the majority of human beings as being perfect beings of light without any judgment on your part? When will you be free of judgment, pain, anger, resentment, fear, victim mentality? That is the question. When will you be free of that? When you're free of it, everybody else will achieve 5D. No pressure. You say, next question, are you saying we won't have the need for an ego when all is 5D? You don't have a need for an ego now. 5D is a choice. It's not something that's going to happen to you. It is a choice. You choose to go there. One of the problems about the discussion, and even I use this language to explain it, but when we say 5D is here and the 5D shift is coming, the truth is that we are choosing to shift. And you don't need to have an ego now. So when will you be in a place where you don't need an ego? And I'm not saying that you should be able to figure that. I'm not trying to put any guilt on you to make that happen tomorrow. That's just the reality of it. That's the same question I'm asking myself, is what I'm saying to you. You and I are in the same boat. Dean Nevins, question, have your recent experience changed anything about your understanding of the runes? No, not at all. Not in the slightest. my understanding about runes, mantra, meditation, all that stuff. It's exactly the same. Qigong. Did I say mantra already? All that is exactly the same as before. All right, so there aren't any questions here. Have I bored you guys all into tears? Have I bored everybody to tears? No other questions? I do see here, who showed up? Thundra showed up. Thundra.thunderwizard.com is a website that you need to go check out right now. Thundra.thunderwizard.com. She is one of my Vedic astrologers. My belief in Vedic astrology has gone through the roof, even more so than before. And she is one of my astrologers, and she has a bunch of other stuff that she does. Go check her out. Moon Priestess has an honest feeling. I think this just came up. I've been feeling really down lately and mainly just sad and having a lot of headache pain on the right side of my brain. Yeah, so you're going through the same thing I have. The right side of your body is your left brain. So if you're feeling it on your right side, it means it's your left brain. Your left brain is your intellect, the part of you that thinks dually, good and bad, right and wrong. And the reason why you're feeling, well, I don't know exactly what the reasons are. Let me just say, I don't know all of the reasons are. Some of the reasons why you might be feeling down lately is because you're having to let go of a lot of attachments. No doubt in my mind, what little I know of your comments, Moon Priestess, I'm willing to bet there's some unresolved emotional issues, right? Unresolved childhood emotional issues. We're going to have to work through those. We're going to have to learn how to acknowledge the pain. Acknowledge what is the main thing I've been talking about? Acknowledge the experience that we have not been loved for who we are. We've been loved based on what we do. Our worth comes from how we, what we do to others. That is a recipe for people feeling depressed, feeling sad. This is, if you want to know how somebody becomes a super empath, anybody, I'm telling you, any person who says I'm a super empath, I already know that they didn't get enough love as a child. So the sad part is that you're going to have to do some kind of work with a counselor, with a therapist. I think, this is what this is. Moon Priestess, are you doing the Warrior 90-Day Challenge? I don't know if you are or not. That's the main thing that the Lightning Qigong will do, is it will bring up all those negative emotions while simultaneously giving you an experience of your own soul. And you'll have to go through the pain of learning how to love yourself for who you are. So it sounds like I'm not the only one who's having this 5D transformation experience. Sounds like you're having it as well. If you're having that, do the energy work. Do the energy work. Have somebody to talk to. You got to talk to somebody about this. We can't do this alone, you guys. Yeah. So what's happened for me over this past 3 weeks, there has been huge chunks of childhood issues that have come to the surface and been horrific and then just dismantled and resolved. And it's usually been happening in my sleep. While I'm asleep, I will have dreams. And in my dreams, when I wake up the next day, I'll be aware of what the unconscious issue is. And then each night that I dream, I'm realizing I'm seeing these issues change and becoming resolved. So it's, feels like decades and lifetimes of psychological issues being resolved at the deepest level. So that I can go and experience this 5D energy. Because that's what I want. I don't want anymore. I don't want to feel sorry for myself anymore. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to have any resentments. I don't want to. And what we do, those of us in the spiritual, especially the New Agey spiritual types, is we just simply deny all of our feelings. We virtue signal to everybody, I'm just all about love and light, man. And we virtue signal how cool and mellow and hip we are, man. Hey, that's my we. And yet we're filled with all of this unresolved anger and resentment. So we've got to actually deal with that. We've got to deal with the pain, the abuse, the betrayal, the sadness, the selfishness. We've got to feel it. We've got to drop it and move past it. I don't know how to do that without two things: energy work, meditation, and working with a counselor. I don't know any other way to do it. And I have both of those things. I have a counselor I still work with, a group that I still meet with on a weekly basis where we work through all of our emotional garbage. And I have this. There's the two things that I feel are directly responsible for giving me the tools to work through all of this stuff that I've been going through. Kay Grace. So welcome to the channel, Kay. The way we do this on my channel is if you have a question, you see below you there, Jedi Black Knight, he writes the word question in all caps. I want to hear your questions, and I want to hear your honest feelings. Those are the two things that I want to hear from you. That's how I can best help you. So I want to help you with something. I want to give you permission right now to drop that label of super empath. Just drop it. Just the label itself, it devalues you and it devalues everybody else. Let me read your whole thing here. You say, I'm a super empath. Not enough love as a child. I've been having the worst head pain since last 7 days. Chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue is, among other things, it is a somaticized expression of feeling hopeless. So it's a way of somaticizing your feelings. So, Kay Grace, I kindly encourage you to find a counselor. Find a therapist. Codependence Anonymous. Something. You've got to work through this. But let's get back to the title, Super Empath. So as I said before in the beginning of this, somewhere in my ranting and raving, I said something to the effect of, we have to get rid of this idea that there are the abusers and the victims in our narcissistic world order that we have. Because both are narcissists. The victim and the abuser are both narcissists. A super empath, super empaths will say that there's a spectrum, and on one side of the spectrum you have the narcissist, and on the other, complete opposite side of the spectrum, you have the super empath. And they'll say the super empath is the person who has all of the love and all of the compassion. In fact, everywhere I go, I feel everybody else's pain. And it's because I love them. I love them so much, I can't help but go and talk to that homeless guy and help that person. And when I walk in the room, I just focus on the saddest person in the room and I go help them. And the narrative is, I have more love than anybody else. That's why it's so painful. And so they're not just an empath. They're a super empath. Super means above. It means above. So I'm above others. In fact, they'll even say, the average person, they'll have some feeling towards the homeless guy, but when I see the homeless guy, I am filled with so much compassion, I can't stop crying. So you already feel superior. as you talk about how humble you are. But the truth is that you're a super empath not because you have too much empathy. Your experience of having empathy for others is actually you projecting onto others the unresolved pain within yourself. That's why all you have to do is look at them and the tears start welling up in your eyes as you feel so much love and compassion for them. Your desire to go and pick them up and take them home and clean them up and give them food and give them a place to live and love them unconditionally is not coming from an unconditional place of love. It's coming from your unconscious desire to have somebody do that for you. And because you were shamed out of your feelings as a child, when you had needs, when you went to mom and you said, "Mommy, I'm lonely. Mommy, I love you." Mommy said, "Shut up, get out of here. I don't have time for you. Don't give me that. Grow up." And you were shamed out of your need, your childish need. So guess what? You're still an infant. Because infants are super empaths. You're still an infant who wants to be loved unconditionally. And so because you don't feel you can go to anybody and say transparently, I have a lot of need to be loved. Can you spend some time and love me? Will you give me love and attention? Will you give me nurturing? I can't give anything back to you. Can you just give some love and attention to me? Because that is too threatening, because you might get rejected. It might be too overwhelming for somebody. They might reject you. They might shame you. They might call you weak. So instead of that, you shove it down. It comes out in this empathy that never goes away. This feeling of, I feel everybody's pain. And then when you see somebody who will allow you to focus all of that healing and love on them, you feel like you have value. And it's all a narcissistic game. As I'm saying this, one of the things that I'm realizing about 5D, I'm just realizing it now, is that the experience I've been having with CE5 is that the energy that I get from them is actually everything that I just said. It is somebody without any ego, without any projection, somebody completely focusing their energy to let you know that you have value simply because you exist. And that's why it's so difficult to experience. Because we don't know how to be loved without then having to do something for it. Or, on the other side of it, we don't know how to be loved without then taking that love and trying to wrestle it and control it. These guys show up, you don't know who's there. You almost never get to see them in their true form because you flip out, for one thing. But the other one is that they're not interested in saying, hey, look at how good I am. They're just simply interested in having a very emotionally, energetically intimate experience with you where they reflect back at you your beauty and your brilliance. And then they're gone on their way. And then you get to deal with having to wrestle with that. You have to give up your ego in order to let that energy come in. That's what I'm realizing. That's the beauty of this CE5 stuff. And that's why I'm realizing, I've been doing it intensely for a few weeks now. That's why I'm realizing that every time that I go to sleep and I dream, I'm actually unleashing and working through lifetimes of unresolved psychological baggage. I just got that because of what you said there, Kay. Anyway, so Kay, I hope none of that hurts your feelings or makes you feel bad. But all that talking is meaningless if you don't do two things. I strongly recommend, number one, that if you're not doing energy work and meditation, whether you do my stuff, thethunderwizard.com, or somebody else's, you do that on a daily basis. I would also recommend Codependence Anonymous. If you do those two things, I can guarantee you will heal of your super empath issues. You have to work the steps. You have to work the 12 steps. But I can guarantee you if you do those two things, you will see some healing. I don't know what will happen if you don't. My experience with the super empath issues is that they don't go away on their own. They just sit and they fester and they get worse. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to do that. And fortunately, the good news is you have to do that. Because the only people who are going to actually make it to 5D are people who are doing that kind of internal self-healing. And anybody listening to me, please don't tell me that you've been doing, shadow work on your own for the past 5 years. That is nonsense. That's called masturbation. That accomplishes nothing. You can't do this work alone. You've got to do it with somebody. Counselor, 12-step group, therapist, shaman. You've got to do it with somebody. That's how this thing works. Jedi Black Knight question, is embarrassment a disguised form of anger? Embarrassment? I don't know about embarrassment. Guilt, shame. Are you equating embarrassment with shame? No, I think shame, guilt is repressed anger. Guilt is anger turned inward. Guilt is when you're angry at somebody else and then you can't tolerate that. You're not allowed to be angry at somebody else. So you turn around and you put that anger on yourself. And so you beat yourself up. I'm such a horrible person. I can't believe I did that. But really underneath that, you're angry at somebody else. If by embarrassment you mean shame, I think shame is shame. Shame is when you either choose to feel or you're made to feel devalued because of something that is innate within you that you're not aware of. You love somebody and they go, I would never date you. Oh my God, you're disgusting. Then you feel shame. You go to your mom when you're 4 years old and you say, Mommy, can I have a hug? And Mommy says, not now. I can't do everything for you. Go take care of yourself. And then you feel shameful for having loving feelings, for feeling your human loving feelings. You feel shame about that. So if that's what you mean by embarrassment, I don't know that that's a disguised form of anger, but I don't know enough about this situation to know better. It could be. Moon Priestess, honest feeling. I've been having a lot of destructive narratives from Christianity pop up as well. Yes, Christianity is clearly one of the 3 most successful, shameful narratives ever invented. Your videos about Christianity has helped me come to an understanding of how the brainwashing works. Good. I also have a book. The Odin Says Jesus Was a Coward book. Go read that or watch the videos of me reading my book if you have that issue. Jedi Black Knight question, can we do the Hool breath with the intent of drawing energy from the core of the galaxy and sending it to the Earth? This seems a lot easier. So Jedi Black Knight, we have a pattern and we're still in it, which means you are still yourself, which makes me feel better. You don't have to ask me anytime you want to change things around. If you want to do a meditation and change things around and get something from it, you're free to do that. You're perfectly capable of taking this information and making it work. Wait, did I miss? Oh, I did. Thundra, I only saw your name there. I didn't even read your thing. It's your birthday. Oh my God, I didn't know that. I'm feeling shame for not knowing it was your birthday. Happy birthday, Thundra. You're 29. You don't look a day over 24. Anyway, congratulations. By the way, thank you for being alive. Thank you, Thundra, for having the fearlessness to come to Earth and to face some of the most difficult things that all humans can go through. Thank you for doing that so that you could then be a guide for the rest of us on how to make it through this 3D Earth experience. Thank you for choosing to come to Earth and bringing all of your psychic abilities, your healing abilities, your ability to channel and understand all of this amazing information that's coming from the universe. And anybody listening to me right now, you should go to her website, thundra.thunderwizard.com. And she's got a bunch of services, but she's got a line on how the universe is working and how the universe is shifting. And if you really want somebody to peel back what's behind the curtain, she's one of those amazing people that can give you that. So Thundra, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for choosing to come and incarnate on this planet. You have brought a lot of value and wonder to me and my life. And I know that everybody that works with you is empowered and blessed. So let us all say thank you to Thundra for choosing to be incarnated on this planet. Kay Grace, question. No, I'm not offended. Okay, well, that's not a question. I've been to counseling for codependency. So let me stop you there for a second. Counseling for codependency, let's see, you say the other stuff. Counseling will only get you so far. I'm a big believer in counseling. The problem with counseling is that it doesn't actually bring any resolution most of the time. What counseling does, which is really important, is it lifts open the trap door to the unconscious so that you can see why you do what you do. My mom did this, my dad was that, I learned this as a kid. But unfortunately, it doesn't give you the ability to actually shift and change and heal those energies. The most powerful combination is codependent counseling plus the 12 steps. In fact, the 12 steps, like Codependence Anonymous in your case, Codependence Anonymous is the 12 steps is the most powerful therapeutic path to restructuring the psyche and the brain. So if you really want to be able to work through these and have them be resolved and never have to go back, keep going to your counselor and work all 12 steps of Codependence Anonymous. I can guarantee you if you do those two things, you will achieve healing. If not, I can't guarantee that. And I'm telling you this not only from personal experience, but from observation. I've been watching it for 40 years. And for 40 years, this is what I've seen. People who only do counseling, they never really get past the pain. It never really gets resolved. People who do the 12 steps can have complete recovery, but not totally understand why they do what they do. Sometimes they can. People who do both, that's where you see the fastest and deepest and most complete recovery. So, take it or leave it, if you choose to do that. Jedi Black Knight question clarification. Yes, I was referring to shame. So is shame associated with unbalanced water element? I haven't made that connection, but that could be a logical connection. Don't overthink it. You have a very strong intellect, as we know. Water element is good for you because water element will get you out of your thinking. but you might be onto something there. Sort of lightly, chew on that. Don't overthink it. Let's see what else. Catherine Lopez question, why do I feel at war with Christians? How do I know? I'm not you. I don't know why you feel that way. It's okay with me that you do, but I don't know why you feel that way. You are going to have to work through that. In my fantasy, Christianity disappears as we go into 5D. Christianity will go, all the big three, all of the Abrahamic monotheist, religions will just. I think just because it will, what's going to happen in my lifetime, I'm almost 100% sure. I think it's kind of impossible for it not to happen. I think within my lifetime, the entire population of the earth will become aware that there are extraterrestrial civilizations in the universe. And that in and of itself will completely destroy the whole Jehovah narrative, because the whole Jehovah narrative is completely built on the idea that there is only one God and that human beings are made in God's image, which means that God didn't create any other beings. And, these other beings, if they don't worship Jehovah, if literally every single other extraterrestrial civilization that you undeniably realize exist, and you realize they don't worship Jehovah, it's going to be pretty hard to worship it. And in fact, in the early part of, the middle part of last century, when the military started shooting down ET craft and finding bodies, and sometimes live, they'd find live extraterrestrials. The reality that there are extraterrestrial civilizations messed with their religious understanding to such a degree that a lot of them blew their brains out. They couldn't. They couldn't. All that religious programming. It's very hard to let go of that. We get attached to it. All right. I don't see any other questions here. My apologies to Thundra. I didn't read your whole thing. I didn't realize that it was your birthday until somebody else pointed it out. I'm really glad that they did. So my apologies for that. Anyway, I hope that you realize how much I appreciate you and value you. Key Grace question. Okay, so you only have to write the first word in all caps. You don't have to do the whole thing, because then I feel like you're shouting at me. Was the three religions made up? Yes. I don't believe the King James Bible is correct Bible. Am I wrong? The entire Bible is wrong, not just the King James Bible. And so, Kay Grace, I'm a little hurt. You obviously haven't seen my videos or read my book. Odin says Jesus was a coward. So, go on to my YouTube channel page. So all you have to do is in YouTube type in Thunder Wizard. You'll see my channel page. Go on to there, and then go to my playlists. And then watch the videos I have about Christianity, about Jesus, about the Bible, and you'll learn the historical truth about where these religions came from. Okay? I don't have time to get into all of it now, so go and watch those videos. And then you'll never have to worry again about whether or not, is the Bible right, is it wrong? So, anyway. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay, I think that's it. All right, my friends, thank you so much for showing up. I love you and appreciate you. My apologies to anybody if anything I've said has been hurtful or in any way offensive. That is my way to put the mirror up, and sometimes I do it well and sometimes I don't. And if I've done or said anything that's caused you pain in any way, my apologies for that. Okay, so a question came up just before I was able to get off here. Working with 5G beings, you mean 5D? 5G is something else. I don't know what a 5G being is. Working with 5D beings, have you experienced different feelings or those similar with other spiritual beings, deities such as Odin? The vibration of the 5D beings are something I've never experienced before. I'm saying that as I'm thinking about it. I'm saying it slowly because I'm willing to be wrong about that. But they're a whole class of being in and of themselves. You know, they are, I am now 99.999% convinced that the extraterrestrial beings of light are in fact the elves. Because the elves aren't the gods. You know, in the Norse cosmology, you have the gods, which are the celestial deities. You have the Vanir, which are the terrestrial spirits and deities. You have the giants, which are, you know, forces of nature, and then the trolls, which are like demons. You have dwarves, which are the unconscious emotional energy issues within us that sometimes we interact with. There's the underworld, which are the people who have recently died, so spirits that are disembodied, that have died and are working through coming back into being incarnated. And then there's another class of beings which are called the beings of light. So elf comes from the word which means light. So the elves are the beings of light. And as it turns out, the extraterrestrials are in fact, that their whole thing is working with light. That's their whole thing. That's why, you know, when you do CE5, one of the main things that happens is you'll see lights, because that's their thing. They travel. I mean, light is how they travel. Light is how they express, you know, light is actually the essence of the universe. It's a vibration. And that's their vibration. So the energy level of the elves, now that I have physically experienced them, like they've been physically in my presence and physically touched me and put energy into me. The level of vibration that their energy is at is nothing I've ever experienced before. It's crazy. They're incredibly powerful. They're extremely powerful beings. And yeah. Did I answer somebody's question? Beloved, welcome to the channel. I don't know BLUVNU. If you want to ask a question, you look above you. It says question in all caps. That's how I know you're asking me a question. You ask a question that I have talked about, and you can go and find me talk about it. All you have to do is, again, go to my channel page, Thunder Wizard YouTube channel page, and go and find the playlists and look for the Age of Aquarius, or go and search within my channel. I wish everybody would do that. It would answer 99% of your questions. I don't have time to go into the Age of Aquarius. I also, just to let you know, I don't like questions like, what are your thoughts around? I know it's a common thing, but my take is it comes off very lazy. It's very general. It's a lazy question. What are your thoughts on this enormously huge subject? So I respond better if you have a specific question about something, you know, just wanting me to talk about a huge subject. I do that, but it usually takes, you know, a couple hours for me to get through it all. So I encourage you to go and learn how to search within my channel and search for all of the videos that have the word Aquarius in it, because I have tons of videos about the Age of Aquarius. Welcome to the channel. I hope you find what you're looking for. All right. Anything else? Nothing else. That's it. Thank you, my friends. Again, nothing but deep love to you. I hope you all find your truth and your bliss. For those of you who want to get a head start on getting shifted to the 5D, I recommend that you search CE5, the letter C, E, and then the number 5. It's a human-initiated contact with extraterrestrial beings of light. I encourage you to do that. That is the fastest way to shift the universe, the world. It's the fastest way to shift planet Earth to 5D. Because basically you're just getting a 5D infusion. I mean, there's no way to successfully do that without it not completely shifting you and completely expanding, if not completely destroying your understanding of reality, which is what we're going to need in order to make the shift. So that, and do the 90-day lightning qigong. That's the most powerful energy meditative practice that I can offer you. There's other stuff out there. I'm not the only game in town. Feel free to do whatever meditative thing works for you. If you want, in my experience, the most powerful, do this combined with this, and you won't have to be asking me what the 5D is. You'll have an experience of it. Anything else? Bubbly Bobo, welcome to the channel. I'm about to sign off. Please come back again and write the word question next time I'm having a live stream, and I'll be happy to try and answer your question as best I can. All right, that's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. I love you, and I will look forward to talking to you again very soon. Take care.